Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Casey, and today what we're going to be working on is creating a little forest walkway. This build is going to be in two separate videos. The first video will be decorating this area that I have terraformed up here, and the second video will be decorating the little overlook part and doing some of the waterscaping for that area. So I'm going to just start up the Island Designer app and get to working. So this area is right behind Tammy's house, and I have some flowers that are just overgrown, so I am just going to go ahead and clean up some of those flowers and then remove these trees. And then I'm also going to place a diagonal bridge right here. I really like how this bridge turned out. And then I'm going to just lay down some filler codes right here leading up to the bridge, and then continue just slightly cleaning up that area right there. And I'm actually going to use the flowers that I just dug up and decorate that little cliff top right there. Right here, I am just going to decorate a little small space. I want to have like a little either painting or like workstation right here, like someone just came to this little foresty trail and was able to sit down and feel creative and do some of their work. So I'm just laying down these custom blankets right here. I really like this light blue blanket, and it has like little embroidered duckies on the side. And then I decided to use the cartoonist set. I really like that item. I don't use it much, so I definitely want to go ahead and try and use some different items on this island that I don't typically use. And right now I am just placing this little fence with the standees and then making sure I fill up the area behind it. And then right now I'm just going in and adding some little final details, putting the shoes on the Zen cushion, and I feel like that area is almost complete. So as far as the pathing for this area, what I decided to do was just lay down a little 4-tile code right here. I feel like that's one of my favorite ways to decorate right when you get off a diagonal bridge, since the spacing of the bridge is kind of like an awkward size. Those little 4-tile circular codes I feel like are the best for that area. But for the pathing itself for this area, I'm going to go ahead and do the inverted pathing. I had originally planned on not using that pathing on this island, but I was able to find, like I had mentioned in the speed build for Daisy's yard, I was able to find a really pretty light green pathing, so you'll see me work on that after I figure out how to decorate this small awkward little space right here. So I did struggle quite a bit with this area right here. I wasn't sure what to put behind these little vertical board fencing standees, and since it was so close to the bridge, it was tough to kind of balance the height in this area and make sure everything looked proportionate. So I just kind of left that alone for now, and then I decided to extend this cliff out a little bit more just so I can have some more space, because I do want to add a little bit of terraforming right here, and I didn't want it to be too close to the bridge, so that's just what I am working on right now. Now what I'm just going to be doing is adding in some waterscaping to the top of this little cliff. I would say doing waterscaping is probably my favorite part of every build that I do, and I think that's why I kind of mix it in throughout my builds, because if I'm just doing like straight decorating the whole time, I think I can tend to get a bit more frustrated kind of easier. So that's why you'll see me kind of going back and forth between decorating, laying down paths, and doing my terraforming. It's just easier for me to do larger projects like this area when I'm able to mix up what I'm working on. And then what I'm doing right here is just going to connect the little waterfall right here to the edge of this cliff, and then just kind of fill in the space around the cliff before I move over to this little path that I had laid down and start the inverted pathing. So like I mentioned a bit earlier, I did struggle quite a bit with this area right here. It was such a weird space to fill up. I think looking back, probably what I could have done was either try to expand the cliff a bit more, or maybe bring out the water terraforming a bit. So as you can see right there, I just kind of gave up and then started laying down more of the pathing right here. I feel like this grass path matches the in-game grass so perfectly, so I'm really excited to be using this type of grass path on this island, and I feel that I can kind of justify it a bit more because it is different from the one that I had on my last island. So right here, I just decided to lay down a little blanket code, and I will set up just a small little seating area right here. I was able to find this little sunflower umbrella custom code, so I just decided to lay that down right over by that first seating area that I made. I'm not too sure if I like how that looks. Obviously the code is amazing and the person who created it is very talented, but I'm just not sure if I like how it looks as of now. Once I fill out this space with some more flowers and trees, it'll look blended in and kind of mesh with the area a little bit better. So right here, I am just going to expand this cliff a little bit wider because I want to be able to do more with the terraforming on top of it. And for my personal preference with terraforming, my cliffs need to be a bit wider than normal because I like to have the water look like it has those natural like curves and bends in it. So that's why I just expanded that space a little bit more, and now I'm just going in and decorating alongside this waterfall. Right here, I am just going and expanding the edge of this cliff a little bit more because I do want this to be a little lookout area, so I need to have room to be able to put a little bench or seating area. And then I decide to lay down a blanket coat right here because I want it to have a real kind of foresty vibe, like someone just came to have either a little picnic or come and get some work done in the forest. So I'm laying down this light brown blanket coat, and then I'm going to make a little sewing area right here. Now now that I have the blanket code laid down, I am just going to expand on my pathing to go around it. I like to break up my pathing with little seating areas to each side of it. I feel like that just gives some nice variety to the area that I'm working on. So what I'm doing right here is just taking this sunflower code and putting it on the edge of the in-game pathing. I feel like that gives the in-game pathing some nice details and it breaks up the grass pathing, because if you're just to use all of the grass pathing over the in-game pathing, for me personally, it just tends to not really stand out as much, whereas if you put some breaks in between it like I did with this sunflower code, it adds some nice variety to the in-game pathing when you're using an inverted path on top of it. What I'm doing right here is just decorating the side of the path that I have. I'm just trying to figure out what items I want to use and figuring out the spacing of the items. I did not like that destination signpost. It's such an awkward size, so I just decided to take that out. There is poor Blue Bear wanting to move out. I actually did decide to let her go because I really wanted to get Freckles. So when I finished building this area, I did talk to her and I moved in Freckles. So I decided to stop over by my bridge and pay it off before I forget. I have been tending to forget to pay off my bridges, and then I will just time travel to the next day and wonder why my bridge hasn't been built yet. So I decided to take care of that before I forgot about it again. Right here I am just going around the area and making sure I like how it is turning out so far. And then I decide to expand the cliff a little bit more because I wanted to be able to fit in a couple more items up on this second level right here. And then after I add in a couple more items, I'm gonna just time travel to the next day. You'll be able to see part of my bridge right there, and I'm gonna just work on this kind of back side of the cliff that I had made. I'm going to do a little bit more waterscaping and then decorating on this edge of the cliff. So right now I am just going to continue to add to the inverted pathing and filling it in right next to this picnic blanket area. Right here I'm just adding in some single fencing pieces. Like I've mentioned before, I really like how that looks and it kind of breaks up the area. And then I am just going ahead and laying down a little plaid rug code because that's what I am going to put the little public bench on for the lookout area. And then you can see cute little Freckles just wandering around down there where I plan to have the waterscaping go, which will be my next video. I'm really looking forward to showing you all how this whole area came together. It was so much fun to create. Although it was time consuming, all of my builds are pretty time consuming, but I did have such a fun time making this area. And then right here, I'm just going in and filling in the rest of the pathing and then making sure that I'm adding some little seating areas to the side of each pathing. I want to have this area be kind of like a space where everybody can come and just hang out and relax and kind of get away from their stressors. Although I am not sure that any of my villagers endure any kind of stressors, because I am the one who does all of the work on this island and they just get to reap the benefits of living on it. Another tip I just wanted to give you all when you're doing the inverted pathing is that I think it's important to make sure that you are breaking it up enough, but you're still using different pieces of whichever custom path you're using on top of the in-game path so that it has a lot of variety and a lot of shape to it. Otherwise, if you're just using all of the same piece, it can tend to look a bit repetitive, so that's why I tend to do it in smaller spaces and then mix in some different custom design codes alongside them. So right here, I am just expanding on this cliff. I wanted to extend it a bit more so I can add in some more waterfalls to truly give this area the vibe that you are actually walking on a hiking trail or walking in the mountains somewhere. I'm really pleased with how this little waterscaping area is turning out. I like the shape of that second level waterfall because when I come back down to where I'm standing right now and I'm able to connect the two waterfalls, I just like how it looks like curved and it makes it more interesting when you're looking at it. So now I'm just adding in some little items right here and changing up the codes a bit. I think that was another area that I wasn't quite sure on how I wanted to decorate. So it did take me some more time to decorate this area and figure out what items would be a good fit for it. But I am glad that I took the time to figure out the perfect items instead of just leaving it how I had it, because otherwise I just would not have been happy with it in the end. So right here, I am just trying to figure out how I want to decorate and lay down the pathing for this last little stretch of cliff that I have. I intend to put an incline right down here so you can access the waterfalls that I will eventually build up on the other side of this area. So I decide to go ahead and plant some bushes and some trees. I do know that I want to add another little seating area right before the incline, so I'm just kind of playing around with different items and codes. I wind up not liking that tree. I feel like it is a bit too close to where the incline would be. Then I end up just testing out some different little rug codes. I wind up not liking how either of these look, and I end up choosing this little circular code right here, so I'm just kind of fine-tuning on where I want that to be. I know I want to have this log bench there, so I like how that looks just right on top of that white code. And now what is left to do is just fill in the little spaces that I may have missed, and then go ahead and start to build out a little bit on the waterscaping that you'll be looking over on. Like I had mentioned, I'm not going to include all of that in this video, but I did want to add some of it just so you can get kind of an idea of what I'm talking about. So after I just go in right here and finish up the inverted pathing, I will head down and do some waterscaping. So here I am just working on a bit of the waterscaping and connecting some of these waterfalls together down here. Like I had mentioned, I just wanted to do some of this in this video so you can kind of picture how it will look like. I will have an entire different video on this that should hopefully be my next video, but I just wanted to kind of work on this a little bit in this video just so you can kind of get an idea of my next plans for this area. So right now I am just working on the shape of the cliffs for this little second tier up here and rounding some of the edges for my waterscaping. And then I just came back down because I wanted to clean up this area a little bit more as well and connect some more of these little waterfalls next to each other. I really love waterscaping. I think I've mentioned this maybe in one of my first videos. I wish our islands could be double the size just so I could have literally half of my island be different waterscaping areas. So anyways, now I came back over to the little nature trail area, and this is why I planned out the waterscaping, was because I wanted to be sure that when you were looking over at that area, wherever I had placed the public bench, I wanted that to be right in the center. I guess that just goes back to me needing everything to be kind of symmetrical. So what I'm doing right now is just moving around some of the flowers and then some of the items that I had used to decorate so I can kind of push down that public bench so it's more centered over the waterfalls when you're looking at it. So what I'm doing right now is just coming back over to this little side of the cliff that I didn't finish earlier and adding in some filler coats and some items and flowers just to kind of bring the rest of that area together a bit more. And then I will go ahead and fill in the rest of the space up on my hiking trail and just kind of editing some of the flowers. I like to make sure that I don't have the same colored flowers too close to one another. And then I did not decorate the top of this cliff, so I had to go ahead and expand the edge so I can actually get up there. And now I'm just filling in that area just to make sure there's no areas that I missed. So after I just finish up this area, I'm going to time travel to the next day and give you guys a final tour. Alright, so here we are. I went ahead to about 5 or 6 a.m. and I just wanted to show you all the final walkthrough. I really am pleased with how this area turned out. I'm so excited to work on my next video, which will detail more of this decorating of the waterfalls and cliffs right here. That will be a little lookout area. But if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and leave a like. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment them down below. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.